Good morning. Happy Friday. Just so you know, this is like my third or fourth take on this because Winnie would not get off my lap. And it wasn't like she was being sweet. She was like all up in my, in my face in the midst of this. Okay, so I'm looking at you guys in a totally different perspective than usual. Normally you're kind of sitting on the table. But my friend said, you know what, it's going to be a much better perspective if you put the camera at eye level. And I'm like, okay, friend, I have not looked someone in the eye my entire life. I mean, unless they were 9 years old. This is going to be a new thing for me as well. So anyway, it got me thinking about this idea of perspective, that we all have a totally different perspective on life because of our life experiences. We see life through the lens of our experiences and not necessarily somebody else's. I mean, look at Winnie. Like, a lot of people could look at her and say she is a really naughty, stubborn dog. And I would tell you, no, she's not. She just has a very strong personality. She's charming when she is disobeying. So anyways, we just come at life in different ways and from different perspectives. And that led me to think, this year around New Year's Eve, I approached New Year's Eve differently. Like a long time ago, probably about 8 years ago, I decided I am no longer going to do a New Year's resolution because it got a little out of hand. I mean, I had like categories for New Year's resolution and then sub points to the categories. And I mean, it was ridiculous. And I mean, at the time, I was like a recovering achiever and all of my friends, they hated me. So now I decided it's time to change. So that particular year, my New Year's resolution was not to have a New Year's resolution. So now what I have developed into is to kind of have a word or a phrase that I focus on. And so this particular year, I decided that 2020 was going to be the year of God's favor in my life. I mean, I had a really rough couple of years, 7 or so years prior to this year. And I thought, this is it. Like, this is the year that I'm going to claim. This is going to be the year of God's favor in my life. And it's all going to depend on my perspective. And so 2 months later, 3 months later, a worldwide pandemic is unleashed on my life and the lives of the entire world. And so I thought, okay, how am I going to change my perspective on this deal? I mean, it's affecting, can affect relationships and it can affect work. And how is this going to work out? But in the midst of all this, I've already seen, there are things that really down the road have developed and could be some of the biggest blessings in my life. I really believe that. And I think the same is true for everybody. When we look back on this, we can look back and see a lot of good things that came from it, but it all depends on our perspective, what we choose to believe and what we choose to see in hindsight. I mean, right now it may be tough, but I 100% believe that things work out for our good. Absolutely. And so, if nothing else, we're going to have this great story to tell when we come out of this. I mean, our great grandparents and grandparents, they used to tell us, when I was a kid, I had to walk 10 miles to school and it was in the snow and I walked uphill both ways. And you know what? Now we can look at our grandparents and great-grandparents and someday be able to say, yeah, well, I lived through the pandemic of 2020. So I want to say suck on that. But I'm not going to say that because that would be so inappropriate to say to your grandparents. So anyway, happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend and stay healthy.